welcome back to Treasures by Tina. And today I have a special treat for you. So I'm going to show you guys how to take meatballs and make them keto. So I'm Italian, as you guys all know, and so my grandmothers showed me how to make excellent meatballs. But now with me being on keto, I can't eat the breadcrumbs or put any breading in there. You could use pork rinds if you wanted to, but I just can't. So I figured out a way to make them keto friendly and yet still delicious. My husband loves them too. Doesn't miss the breadcrumbs in them at all. And the first time I made them, I didn't even tell him and he didn't know. So that's how I know that they're really, really good. So how I'm gonna make them, I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna make them and I'll do the voiceover. I find it hard to talk and cook and tell you guys everything. So I'm gonna make everything and show you. And then I'll link the recipe down below in the description box as well. So if you guys want to try it, I would love you to. So anyway, I'm going to make it, and I'm going to make him a meatball grinder. And in Connecticut, we call them grinders. I know some of you guys call them like hoagies or subs, or they have all different kinds of names. But in Connecticut, they're grinders. So I'm going to make him a meatball grinder with keto meatballs, but I'm going to do his on a grinder roll in the oven, and then I'm gonna do mine with spaghetti squash in a plate. Either I'll do the spaghetti squash or I do have keto bread, so I could toast it and do it that way too. I'm not really sure yet. It's probably going to be on the spaghetti squash because it's kind of like a spaghetti and meatball thing without it really being pasta. It works. It's not as good that way, but it works really well. So I'm going to show you guys how to do it. And if you're new here, welcome. I hope that you find all kinds of inspiration for a cozy home and a happy heart. And today a happy tummy too. So it's a threefer. So that's pretty exciting. And like I said, I'm going to show you guys step by step. And if you would be so kind as to hit the subscribe button and the notifications button, this way you guys will be subscribed. You will get notifications every time I do a video. You can follow me over on Instagram at Treasures by Tina 28. And you can see a lot of my daily life there, a lot of things, you know, just random things here or there, a lot of things vintage that I love, lots of other things too. But today is going to be keto meatballs. And if you have a household too, where there's, you know, you're keto or your husband's keto, your kids aren't, or, you know, whatever your living situation is, at least this way you can still make the same things, just the person or persons on keto, you just adjust it a little bit for their needs. This way you're not making two separate dinners, two separate lunches. Everything's all separate because that can get costly. It's very time consuming. And all of us in today's world, you know, we don't want to be doing all that. So I'm going to show you how to do it. So it's one recipe. Mine will take the keto version. His will be keto with the meatballs, but then he'll have the roll and excuse me, everything like that on his. I won't have that. So we're going to go in the kitchen. I am going to show you everything. And like I said, I'll do the voiceover and then I will also put everything in the description box so it'll be right there for you. So we're going to go get started. And again, any questions, comments, anything that you have, if there's a different way that you do it, I would love to know what it is. If there's any kind of variations that you would like to see, like a dessert or anything that you guys love to eat, if you're doing a keto diet, but you don't know how to make something, I could try to help you or give you advice on where to go, at least to find recipes and good sources. There's a few people I follow that are awesome, and I've gotten a lot of ideas from them as well. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into my kitchen and let's make some keto meatballs.
Okay guys, so we are in the kitchen. I already have my sauce cooking that I made a few days ago, and it's just a really light tomato sauce. And just give that a few good stirs. And we're gonna let that simmer on the stove while I get to the meatballs. And it just smells absolutely wonderful. So we're gonna let that simmer and go over here where I have everything all cut out. So we have 3 heads of garlic. We have some rosemary. We have some onion. I took half an onion and cut it up. I might need the rest, so I'll leave it there, but I'm not really too sure yet. 1.5 pounds of ground beef. Some freshly Parmesan cheese. We have a little bit of oregano. We have 4 eggs, salt and pepper. I already have my baking dish greased with Pam spray. I'll put a little bit more in there. just to make sure nothing sticks. And we have the oven set for 350. And now we're going to get started in putting it all together. So again, 2 or 3 garlics, rosemary, and onions. And you can adjust more garlic, less onions, whatever you want to do, or skip one if it's not what you like. So we have everything ready to go. And just want to give you one more look at everything that we're using, just so you know for sure. And you can use 4 eggs, you could use 3 eggs. I use like a pound and a half of hamburger, and the egg is going to be the binder. So that's what's going to make that really stick really well. And we're going to get started. Now, put you guys down. Have a little glass of vino on the side. Really helps your making process go a lot smoother. So now we're going to take all of our ingredients and we are going to put them in with the ground beef. And just get everything in there. I put everything on a cutting board. It just seems a lot easier for me to maneuver everything instead of having 3 or 4 different plates to wash later. We just have one cutting board, so it's a lot easier. And then we are going to, there it is, everything is in there. And now we're going to add a little bit of oregano. And again, that's a matter of choice. You can put a little, a lot, or you can skip that part entirely if you're not an oregano fan. But we do like it, so I will add some in there. And we're going to add our freshly grated Parmesan cheese. And again, that's a matter of taste. So whatever, if you like a lot, if you like a little, you know, you just adjust it to how you like it. Put a little bit of pepper. And I got those containers, by the way, at Amazon, and they're in my Amazon shop as well if you want to go look for those. And a little bit of salt. And it's very convenient to have those on the counter handy nearby, so you're not always wrestling for things. And we're going to put a little bit of heavy cream. I put about 1/4 of a cup per 1 pound of hamburger. I'm going to get that all in there. Now roll up your sleeves, ladies or gentlemen. And now we're going to crack our eggs. And it's going to be, I'm going to use 4 for this particular batch. So we get all those in there. And make sure you don't put any, little pieces of the shell in there. I have done that before, and my husband has said there's something crunchy in there. And that's what it is. So I'm extra careful these days not to get anything in there. And I keep them in a bowl as I'm using them. This way I can put the shells in there too, and it's a lot easier to just dump the bowl out, into the trash after and just wash the bowl. So here's all of our ingredients. And now we're going to get dirty. Roll up the sleeves again. Sometimes I take my rings off, sometimes I don't. This time I didn't. And you just get in there and you just maneuver everything so it all mixes together evenly. And you want to just really, really work it. You want to make sure the eggs and everything really coat and there's not chunks of something, in one meatball that's not in another meatball. So again, we're not using any breadcrumbs or anything like that. This way, everything stays keto friendly. So we're just going to get that all mixed up really well. As you can see, it's all mixing together beautifully. And we're going to let that sit for a second. I'm going to go wash my hands. You will find me washing my hands quite a bit, through the whole process. I just like to have clean hands as I'm working with things. And especially if you're going to go in and add more salt, pepper, or cheese, you want to have clean hands. And like I said, we do love the cheese. So I tend to, go a little bit heavy-handed with that. But again, it's a matter of, whatever taste you have. Some people don't like Parmesan cheese. So, don't put it in there. But I think it's also acts as somewhat of a binder with the egg. Excuse me. And I think it just really adds that little bit of flavor that we need. And just get in there and just keep playing with it until you get a really good consistency going. And I always try to go in 1 or 2 times just to make sure, everything is ready to go. We're going to put our pan right next to our bowl, and it's already greased and ready to go. And so we're just going to take a good amount. Now you can make your meatballs bigger or smaller than what I'm doing. But since my husband's doing his in a grinder, I kind of made them a little bit bigger so I can slice them in the bread. And just gonna roll them all up and get them all ready to go. And it's kind of like therapeutic, I think, just kind of rolling the meatballs. And I have music on in the background. And have my glass of wine. And again, I wash my hands a lot. So now we have everything all set and ready to go. So I'm going to take even more cheese and just kind of sprinkle it on top of them a little bit. It gives them a little bit of a crispness on the top as well, which I do like. So we're just going to get that all mixed in there. And like I said, I do have a generous hand when it comes to the Parmesan cheese because we really like it. And give our sauce another little stir. And I just kind of leave that simmering on low while my meatballs cook. And I have a little simmer pot there in the back. That's what that pot is, but I don't have it on at the moment because the smell of the sauce is just so wonderful. You don't want to mess that with anything else. And now we are going to put our meatballs in the oven. Get those in there. And we're going to leave them in there for about 40 minutes. Now I'm going to use butternut squash today, but you can use spaghetti squash or any other kind that you like. And I just take a frying pan, and I'm going to spray it with the Pam olive oil spray, which I love. Sauce is going well. Give it another quick stir. It just smells so wonderful, guys. I wish you were in my kitchen to smell it as well. And now we have the meatballs in the oven, so they're going. They're looking pretty well. And let's see, take a quick look. And they look to be pretty much done. So we're just gonna let them rest over there. And now we have everything going. And we are going to take our meatballs one at a time. And we are going to put them in our sauce. We're just going to let them cook in there for maybe like 5 minutes or so, just to kind of let the flavors of the meatball and the sauce blend together. And as you can see, even without the breadcrumbs, the meatballs held their shape really well. And, you know, they didn't fall apart or anything because the egg, and I think the Parmesan cheese too, they both act as a binder. So now we're just going to give it a quick stir because we want to make sure everything is coated. Because we want them to really cook in the sauce for a few minutes while I go ahead and make the spaghetti squash or butternut squash. And it's always a good substitute for pasta noodles as well, or like spaghetti. And with the sauce and the meatballs and the cheese, you really don't notice the difference. At least I don't. So while that's over there, and as we know, my heavy hand with the cheese strikes again. So we'll just let that simmer all together. And now we're going to start with our spaghetti squash. And like I said, I just put it in the pan just to pretty much warm it up because it's already pretty much all set. But I will just put that in there and just let that cook and fry a little bit. And maybe a little bit more. I'm a little bit hungry today, guys. So especially with all the smells, I get even hungrier. So now we're also going to take our salt and our pepper, which those containers are just so easy just to reach in and grab what you need. And I keep them right by the stove for easy access. So I'm going to put that in there and give that another little stir. Just to let that, you know, the flavors kind of all blend together. Now we're going to come over here. I already have the pan greased and I have 2 grinder rolls for my husband. And we're just going to put a little bit of olive oil on the bread. Excuse me. Sorry, that was Alexa. But just put a little bit of olive oil on the bread because you want it to have a little bit of crispness. And then we are going to put that in the oven just for maybe like 3 or 4 minutes. We just want the bread to be a little bit crisp before we put our meatballs on because we don't want the grinder to end up being soggy. You want it to really have, my husband really likes it crispy, so I always put the bread in the oven first. And I'll just give that a little turn. And now we are ready. Ouch, that's a little hot. And I put a couple meatballs on a plate. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to cut them. And then I am going to place them on the grinder rolls. So now I'm just going to cut right through them to kind of make slices. And I keep them kind of fairly big. I don't make them really thin. and you just place them on your grinder roll. And guys, my kitchen, again, just smells absolutely wonderful. It just reminds me of my grandma's kitchen when I was little. All the smells of the meatballs and the sauce is just, to me, it's just a smell of home, and I absolutely love it. So now we're gonna get all the meatballs on there for him. And that's what it looks like. And I'm gonna put a little bit of extra sauce because we want some sauce on there as well. And I am kind of generous with it, and that's okay because we've already crisped our bread. So it has, you know, it's toasted, so it's not gonna get soggy, which you definitely do not want. And we'll just put a little bit more on there for him. He loves my sauce, so I am fairly generous with it. But you could always put like a little bowl of sauce on the side too. And I'm gonna put some provolone cheese, and I'm gonna put some Italian cheese blend on there as well. I like the mixture of both cheeses together, and so does he. So we're just gonna put 2 slices of the provolone on each sandwich, just so it covers, you know, all the meatballs, and you know, he'll have cheese in every bite. And then we also put the other cheese on it as well, the shredded cheese. We'll get that all on there. And then I am going to put on just a little bit more sauce on the top so it all bakes in together. And this way he has sauce and meatball and cheese in every bite. So ladies, if you're looking for a way to make your husband happy, this is it. Trust me, he will absolutely love it. And you could add onions or peppers or anything else you would want. And if you do, I would put them on in this stage. So now that they're getting ready to go back in the oven for about, I don't know, 4 to 5 minutes. You have to keep an eye on it because you don't want it to burn. But just, you know, when you put it in the oven, keep an eye on it. And again, anything else you wanted to add to it, you know, now's your time to add. So we'll just get a nice heavy hand of that. And a little bit more of the Parmesan cheese. And again, you can adjust the cheese to your liking, more or less, you know, whatever suits you and whatever your family likes. Now we're gonna put those in the oven for about 4 or 5 minutes. Like I said, we'll check it to make sure everything is good. And now we have everything plated and ready to go. So his grinders, look how yummy that looks. And then mine is on top of the butternut squash with 2 meatballs, a little bit more cheese, because obviously you know me, I love cheese. So there we go. And just looks and smells and most importantly, tastes absolutely amazing. So this is a nice way for you to enjoy half keto and half not keto for your household. Look how absolutely yummy that is. Well, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next recipe. Bye.